Good evening, everyone. We have reached quorum for the College Career and Life Readiness Committee meeting for this evening. We have the agenda is in front of us on the shared screen. Thank you, Haley. And now that we have our quorum established, we're going to start with the artificial intelligence resolutions that we have had before the committee for some time now. And at our last meeting, we had a few outstanding issues that we wanted Representative Best to weigh in on, and he has now done that. So his responses to our questions and comments are on the respective resolutions, and I propose that we vote on these to move them out of committee and return them to the full board at the next working session. So I will entertain a motion to vote on just took the names away from me, Haley.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's not your
I
fault.
also, I'm sorry, I have not
You have
looked. I
questions?
didn't realize there were updates made. Uh, is there a headline for what the updates were?
Um, yeah, let me just go through each respectively. So
I
starting with
don't think
the
I'm voting on.
yeah, starting with the AI fluency, we had some input from Representative Warid talking about some of the other considerations of AI use, including water use and environmental consequences. So we are adding something on that. And we had something, we changed some of the timelines just to reflect that we're further along than when these were initially written. So it changes, our target implementation dates to the next school year instead of initially it was 25-26, but now we changed all those to 26-27.
Is it anything in here where we need Aussie's feedback on?
So need is the question. I think that uh, the pattern that we or the process that we followed with your resolution that came out of the Educator Excellence Committee, if we follow that same pattern, it would go to the full board and may then refer it to, or we may then invite Aussie to give feedback. So I anticipate that that would probably be the case with this. I would
Got
also
it.
say,
Okay.
we have had conversations in the past with Aussie about AI, so it's not, you know, absent that context. But if we follow that same pattern, I expect we would send both of these to Aussie for any comments.
Thank you.
So that was the first one, and let me find the second one is establishing an AI leadership collaborative. And so for that, we're going, again, we adjusted timelines to reflect for the next school year, not this school year. There were some questions from Representative Mazumdar about what a community of practice would look like and peer collaboration. And Representative Best answered that with saying that sharing models across schools, and we also talked about including something about privacy for students with disabilities. Based on the testimony we had about the issue from Common Sense at our panel. Those were the major comments.
And changes
So,
can continue to be made once it goes to the
Mhm.
full board.
No,
yeah,
thank you. All of that makes sense to me. It just had been some time,
yeah,
and I didn't realize the updates had happened, and so I wanted to I needed to remind myself of what the changes were. But all of that sounds um, sufficient as far as what is necessary to be done in committee.
yeah, and we can link those in the wrap up or the follow up to this. Moment. Okay. Just checking because we had another attendee, make sure it wasn't someone we needed to let in. All right, so at this point, I would entertain a motion to vote on the Advancing AI Fluency in DC Schools resolution.
So moved.
So I have a motion. Second. I can second it, right?
You can.
Yeah, I
Yes.
second. So if we could vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Dr. Johnson Law, did you say aye? Sorry, you were in perfect unison. So we will advance the Advancing AI Fluency resolution back to the full board. And now there's a motion to vote on the Establishing an AI Leadership Collaborative resolution.
So moved.
Moved, and I'll say Representative Thompson seconded.
Sure.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All right, that's aye. So we will return the Establishing AI Leadership Collaborative resolution to the full board. And so we will present those at the working session and take it from there. So thank you for that. Our next item is to discuss the April panel on graduation requirements, and mainly looking here for Representative Johnson Law to weigh in because Representative Thompson and I have already talked about this a little bit as we've planned for the task force. But the basic like the decisions we need to make is how we want to approach this as a panel. One option is to have task force members to sort of speak on the recommendations to the board, to the full board at the public meeting. Another approach would be to have outside commenters to share their commentary on the recommendations. And again, at that point, the recommendations are going to be preliminary. It's not going to be final. So there's, it's a part of an ongoing discussion, not, a reaction to something that's already decided. So one thing we discussed was the possibility of having task force members talk about the recommendations and then selecting, specific perspectives in that. And so I think one approach that we talked about would be to have like ask WTU, ask someone from the charter sector, ask someone from DCPS, and then maybe one other selected task force member to testify in front of the board. So Representative Thompson, please feel free to correct me on anything there, and inviting your thoughts, Representative Johnson Law.
No corrections. I think that I will add some context. One of the reasons we talked about those potential panelists is because they do represent groups as opposed to their individual perspective. And we thought that was important given we do have a large task force and we can't invite all perspectives. Um, and of course, encouraging other members to also join us during public testimony to raise things. But given they represent either, LEAs or large stakeholder groups that have been really engaged, we thought those would be best. I think the other, and I don't know if we uh, talked at all about the merits of the other approach, which is not task force panelists, but that would be more like a in response to, like this is how we um, interpret what you all have put on the table and considerations that things we might want to consider, whether for I don't know if it's implementation. I don't know if things we hadn't considered or hadn't come up. But it would be more of a feedback instead of um, the panelists giving the rationale for how we got to recommendations. I mean, we also in theory could do a mix, but that would uh, be a possibly longer panel. And so I think those are my additions, not necessarily corrections.
Yeah, and just to say also that yes, we would by necessity have to limit to like 4 panelists, but we still have the avenue of the task force report that is going to allow like any members, like we're trying to convey all the all the perspectives, any dissenting opinions and so on are going to be in the report. So it wouldn't be excluding those perspectives, but it would be just kind of choosing to create an opportunity for the board to have the back and forth with select members of the task force.
Got it. Okay. And just clarifying question, we're talking about at the April public meeting, right? Or are you all talking about the May public meeting?
April public meeting.
April 15th. Okay. Because we have another meeting April 9th.
Yes. The public meeting will be April 22nd because April 15th is spring break.
Thank you. Got it. Okay. So we're meeting as a task force April 9th. They're going to have the staff will do all their thing. And then the panel would be the different task force members talking to the full board to say, here's our rationale around basically how we got here. I like that. I like it.
All right. Preliminary thoughts on like what perspectives to invite for the task force. We don't have to finalize it right now, but just to kind of put some suggestions, some possibilities on the table, and then we'll have to do the whole Haley will have to invite, see who's available, all that too. But just as we normally do when we put a panel together, just kind of who comes to mind for good candidates to invite to do that.
For me, when you all were talking about it, I was thinking, yes, like a GCPS perspective. Yes, like a charter perspective. I know we have a couple of parents on there, so I didn't know if we could have like a parent perspective, and then maybe even like a SPED perspective, because that would encompass everybody. And I know that one has been, when I think about our meetings, I know that was one of the longer ones and one of the, I don't want to say contentious, but just ones that is requiring a little more, a little more to think about, a little more deeply. And so, again, those are just my initial thoughts. But like you all said, it can only be 4. I wouldn't go past 4, right? Okay.
We can technically have 5 on a panel. It does make it harder for the members to interact with all five. But you can have up to five.
I think
Yeah.
four is a good number. I don't want it
Okay.
to be overwhelming for members and or overwhelming for the staff. And I'm sure people don't want longer meetings as the panels are already long. Well,
Yeah.
not long, but you know what I mean? Like you have to get through all the students, the electeds, and everybody, so that takes time.
Think
But those are just my thoughts. Representative Thompson,
I
yes.
think it's less about the length of the meeting because technically it would only be an additional 5 minutes of testimony. It's not another round, but it is about how many the 3 minutes of the 3 minute exchange. And so it's a lot to consider, like think about how fast the 3 minutes goes. And let's say I have a question to all panelists, even the difference between three people and trying to answer a question in 3 minutes and five is a bit unfair. So
Got it.
it's yeah.
That makes sense. So again, the four is the number it probably should be then.
And Representative Thompson, your like top four preference to ask? To be on the panel.
I think it would be DCPS or DME if Claire would do it.
Okay.
Actually, that would be ideal.
Mhm.
So I would say DME. I would say because that's across. I would say WTU. And I would say um, DCPS and charter because I would like to hear their priorities or like the challenges across the recommendations. Like three, like maybe I'm assuming there's like two or three that inclusive of the practical studies one that they would zero in on. Um, and so yeah, I think those would be my four if I had my way. If not,
Mhm.
I would include I'm I feel like we ask a lot of Dr. Ramamurti, but um I would actually like a perspective that is not K through 12, if
Yeah.
possible. So whether that be and this might be an opportunity for it to engage someone who hasn't shown up as much. But that idea of like the value of a diploma, which we have been wrestling with, and once the students leave, what opportunities do they have? If that's like I said, if it's Dr. Ramamurti, if it's the woman who came and testified before us, who's also technically task force member from Federal City Council. I can't remember her name right now because
Tanya
it's after five.
Barachi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is a helpful way to round out um, because it is not lost for me that this is not a graduation, it's not a destination, it's a stop on the way to somewhere. Um, and I think that should be considered.
All right. Thanks. Yeah. I think my preferences would be WTU. I like the idea of DME to be across, though I think maybe we still need to give charter sector a spot. And I like the idea of Dean Ramamurti also. So that would not include a parent. But if we um, but let's put those on the table and then check availability, and then we can come back to finalize.
Can I,
Based on. Go ahead.
sorry, delay thought. The reason I did not suggest any of the parents from the task force is because we don't have a parent who is representing a larger contingent as we
Hmm.
designed it. And like, so for example, if Yvette was the parent, Yvette's testimony would be probably about the course requirements,
Hmm.
which would not get to the SPED. If Christina was the parent, Christina would probably not address the things that Yvette cares about. And
Yeah.
I don't want to give the impression one way or another that there is agreement between the folks as parents on the task force, since we haven't had like some their responsibility is not to represent a larger group of parents. It is though to engage other people, but it's not the same as like when you testify on behalf of an organization. And I just don't want to give the impression that that's what all the task force parents think. You know what I mean? One way or the other. That doesn't feel, and I don't want them to
Yeah.
feel restricted either in their own points of view. Um, and so that's what I was wrestling with.
Keep in mind that anyone, including any of the task force members, can also come testify as a public witness.
Yes.
That evening, we will be, sharing on the all of SBOE's social media platforms, inviting anyone who would like to share public feedback, that is the ideal opportunity to do that.
Yes, yes, and that's one of the reasons I raised that is like maybe the better place, just because I, I want I want to remain true to um, people being able to speak for themselves and not feeling restricted or encumbered um, for any reason. Um, as we all know, we all have our opinions, and then there are some times which may or may not always adequately or perfectly align with those we represent. And if we're speaking in our individual capacity, we should always caveat that.
Yeah, the way I was thinking about Dr. Anderson. I know she's not on the task force anymore, but I believe she was representing, I think it was WIC. And I know she was coming from like a dual place. And so I thought that would have been um,
She's
just a
still on the
perspective.
task force.
Okay, I thought because I knew she
We
got,
kept
okay,
her. Yeah.
Yeah, but she
okay,
just is not representing WIC.
WIC,
She is, yes, she sits in a different role, which is friendship. And so I don't want
got
to,
it.
yeah,
Right.
like that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons I was
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Right. Because
the
I forgot. I was
there's a
thinking of,
difference between identities and roles,
right,
and I want to
right.
be respectful of that. Yeah.
Right. Because I was thinking about her like in WIC and I realized, wait, she's not with WIC anymore. She's in a different capacity. Yeah.
Mhm.
We do have another representative from WIC, Chandra Goodman.
Mhm.
Representative Thompson, I do agree with you when you talk about graduation, right? It's like not a final place. It's like it is a place on a journey because you're still trying to get somewhere. And like what we do here affects your journey of how you get to where you're trying to go. So I do like I do feel like we do need somebody on there um, that is either in higher ed or in workforce.
Yeah, and I think Dean Ramamurti works well for that if she's available because Trinity is also very force oriented. They're trying to get their students into specific things. So let's start there, Haley, if you could do that. I am also conscious of we've asked a lot of the task force members, and especially for the month of April. So I wouldn't be shocked or hurt if they need to decline these invitations. So we'll just be flexible and stay in touch about where we are on the panel. So I'll move us now to our next item, which is to debrief the task force meeting, the last task force meeting, and then discuss some plans for the next meeting. and Dr. Johnson Law, definitely looking for your input here because the three of us have already done some planning just for the logistics of the meeting and our preparation as co-chairs. But the highlights from the last meeting are that we discussed the community service recommendation, the endorsements recommendation, and some of the course requirements recommendations, math and science. So we didn't get as far as we hoped and thought we would. There was just more discussion to be had on those topics, and we learned that we may need to be a little heavier handed, myself most of all, on keeping people honest to their time, so that we can get through a little bit more. But the issues that emerged on community service, there was a lot of seemed like near unanimity, if not on reducing the hours. And most of the discussion was about the changing definition, and what would count as community service. So there was a discussion about making sure that community service that happened during the school day was not excluded if it otherwise fit the definition of community service. And then there was what I would say was a dissenting opinion about if we're including paid opportunities, we're kind of losing the original, or what we assume is the original intent of it being a community service more strictly. So that was, and we didn't we didn't come back to vote on that because as Representative Thompson pointed out, a lot of these, or many of these recommendations might influence each other. And so we're gonna wait until we've gotten through all of them before we come back to vote and make closer to final decisions. So that was community service. On endorsements, the main sticking points were around whether it should be required that all LEAs offer all of the endorsements, and that similar to the discussion that we had at the public meeting around the issue of access and equity versus the burden, especially on the smaller single site LEAs, charter LEAs, to be required to offer all of the options. And then for the course requirements, we were talking a lot about the Algebra 2 or equivalent question, and the main tension being should Algebra 2 and the equivalent integrated math 3 be required, so that everyone who graduates should be past that hurdle that opens a lot of doors in STEM and just problem solving and logical thinking, or the counterpoint was that Algebra 2 is not something that all students need for their future career paths, and therefore is an unnecessary barrier to graduation. So that was the kind of central push and pull on that. And similar question around science, whether chemistry should be required as well as biology. So that was the ground that we covered. And The next meeting, we're hoping to, we have decided to extend the meeting a little bit, make it a 3-hour meeting, but also try to hold ourselves to a better time apportionment for the remaining topics. And so one of the things that we need to do is to ask anyone who's going to propose a modification to the recommendations that we're covering to have that shared in writing prior to the meeting, and really encourage folks to read that ahead of the meeting. So that's our plan, but welcome your input.
No, I was trying to come off mute. I like it because I'm like looking at the recommendations. So it sounds like you guys got through 3, 4, and 5, which are endorsement, core content updates, and community engagement.
Yeah, we didn't quite finish the core course requirements because we need to talk about financial literacy and career prep.
Okay.
So we'll have to finish that up, and then the other
ones. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That was helpful. I do share the task force concern about algebra 2, and sometimes that unnecessary like burden, especially for our babies who struggle in math. And so we're trying to get them, especially if that's not their career focus, like, hey, I don't want to be an engineer, like I want to focus on the arts or something else that doesn't require a whole bunch of math. And so that's something that stuck out to me. Community engagement. I thought I thought that would be like a unanimous one. I didn't think anyone would have a issue with decreasing.
Yeah, no one has an issue with decreasing. It's just the definition part
The definition part. Okay.
that we had some
Got it.
dissent.
Got it. Okay. And then all heard on the endorsement part. So I do agree with you all about the extension of the 3 hours to maybe finish up what you couldn't in the first one, and then I believe to get through post-secondary plan capstone and the practical studies diploma. I know there was a lot of talk about the capstone and folks asking for flexibility and all the things. So yes, for the 3 hours,
Yeah.
but keeping people to we got to stick to time.
I think we may be closer to consensus on the capstone, I think.
Okay. And then April 9th, it's virtual, right?
It is virtual. We did talk about doing in person again for the meeting on the 23rd. And that's gonna have to be, a continuation to wrap up unresolved items, and also to consider the items that fall outside of the 6 recommendations. We've
Is
got a
the meeting on
handful of those.
Is the meeting on the 23rd, is that one 3 hours too?
No,
Oh, okay.
not necessarily. That's
Okay.
more likely to be 2.
Got it. Okay. Just
That
asking.
one is also deliberately held after the public meetings so that folks can consider any public testimony or reactions that they heard.
Got it. Public meeting 22nd. Task force meeting 23rd. Got it. Okay. Thank you for bringing me up to speed. I appreciate you all.
All right. And next item is we've talked about site visits. Representative Thompson, I think we wanted to check in with you about any connections with River Terrace, IDEA, the ATC.
I have talked to Abe about the visit to
Mhm.
River Terrace. I did ping him as a reminder, what's up with the visit to River Terrace. I'm assuming that I have not, I did not circle back with idea. That
Okay.
fell off my to-do list. I will do that now in this meeting. And the ATC, I think is the right person is Andrew. I am expecting to talk to him tomorrow.
Okay.
Andrew Gall,
All
that
right.
is. I know there's more than one
Yes.
Andrew in the world.
Yeah, so if just let us know what you find out on each of those. Um, and yeah. Next we have um, setting our date for our April task force meeting.
Oh, no, this is for the committee.
I'm sorry, committee. Yes, CCL and R committee meeting.
TCL and R.
Yes. Um, typically we do the fourth or last.
The f- the fourth Thursday of the month, however, because the public meeting is the fourth
Okay.
Thursday, we could do April 29th,
The fourth
um,
Wednesday.
the following
Wednesday. Yes.
Wednesday.
Okay. I personally have a conflict with the research collaborative on the 29th.
Okay.
I would prioritize this committee over that,
Time is the
but
research meeting, Robert?
say that again.
What time is that meeting?
It's 4 to 6.
I can do the 29th if we do earlier in the day. Is that a possibility?
It is a possibility. Um, Representative Johnson Law is earlier in the day on Wednesday.
That can
Like
work.
2 or 3.
I can't do 2. 2 to 3 is when I meet with my school without walls intern.
Okay. Does 3 work for you, Representative Thompson?
Yeah, I can make that work.
Okay.
So 3 to
3
4
o'clock
on.
on the 29th. Okay, I will get that noticed. It is up to you if you want to go ahead and choose date. We only noticed through March so far. If you want to go ahead and notice May and June, we typically don't meet in July. May and June, I believe there are no conflicts with the third, or I mean the fourth Wednesday of the month, but we can also wait if you would rather discuss that at the April committee.
I would like to return to our standing date if possible.
Okay.
That way I can just protect the time as opposed to finding time.
That's fine with me also.
Okay. Do we want to go
So
back to the fourth Wednesday of the month for May and June?
yeah,
If
that works
possible.
for me.
That's fine.
Okay, so that will be May 27th and June 24th. Okay. I will get those noticed and scheduled.
Thank you, Haley. And I will ask now if there is any new business for the committee.
No,
I
just
feel like,
taking a moment to thank Haley for all the work she's doing for
yeah,
Oh, thank you.
because I
and
know
We
that
love you, Haley.
we have been in many, many meetings. And you have been in many, many meetings, and you
yeah,
have done a lot of things in between meetings, and so we do appreciate you.
and
Thank
April
you.
is going to
That's what
be
I'm
a
here
lot
for.
more.
Yeah. We love you, Haley.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Also, Haley, my sister said she was gonna make me banana bread. I just want you to know that.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so I'll keep you posted.
I still have the bananas. LaJoy, for your reference, we ordered bananas as a snack for the task force meeting, but we got all like completely green bananas that were basically inedible. So we encouraged everybody to take one home and let it ripen. And I have some, Representative Thompson has some that
Split the
may turn
bunches.
into banana bread.
I ate a good chunk of them, but I left 3 for her to make banana bread, and she will do that in exchange for the fact that I also have been feeding her for weeks. So there we go.
That's what sisters are for.
Yeah.
I'm sure she is
When
thankful for
life
you,
gives you
Representative
bananas,
Thompson. You make banana bread. When life gives you bananas, you
you
make
make
banana bread.
banana bread. That's right.
Mhm.
All right. I think we are done. We have plenty of business ahead of us. So we can now adjourn.
Okay.
Thank you, committee
Bye,
members.
everybody. See you soon.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.